I completely forgot about something. To give context, okay. The thing I forgot about is a TV program that I watched ages ago, years ago even. And the thing that reminded me of it was because I was watching Just Roll With It and I was watching Prime Defenders and they had a one-shot called The Elementals, and I just remembered this TV program that I used to watch called Nowhere Boys, which is about 4 boys that are nowhere. 4 boys who get trapped in a storm and then get transported into a parallel universe where they were never born. And then they get elemental powers, they have to fight demons. The thing is, when I watched it, it only had 2 seasons. And I watched those 2 seasons. I ate that shit up. I was like, They made another 2 seasons of the show. Another 2 seasons. And I didn't know this. So apparently now there's 4 seasons. But the thing is, they don't have the same characters. They have different characters now. And in season 3, if no one has anything in common with each other, they get smited with God.
What do we have in common?
Nothing.
It also has the same kind of elements that the other 2 seasons had as well. But the thing is, I'm going to be talking about it because of how fun it was and also how stupid it is now. Also, I'm not going to be talking about a whole lot. I'm going to be trying to talk about the key moments in it because we'd be here forever because there's 13 episodes that I had to rewatch. And it was a lot to take in. So if I sound bunged up, it's because hay fever's been kicking my ass lately. Just to let you know. Anyways, we're gonna get into it. So the opening scene opens up with us getting an introduction to our 4 main characters, which we will later know as Jake, Sam, Felix, and Andy. The boys all wake up on a forest floor with Sam, and I'm not kidding. I'm not joking, okay? With Sam eating, not knowing this, okay? Crotch cream. For itchy crotch.
Fruit, right?
It's for itchy crotch.
After that whole thing, they get up out of the hill because we're left on kind of like a why are they on a forest floor kind of moment. But then they climb up a hill to get out of the hole that they're in the forest, and then a tornado just appears out of nowhere. I know, a lot to take in for the first minute. A lot to take in for the first minute, and then they don't get picked up by this tornado. It just seems like this tornado is kind of in a field of don't pick these boys up. But then it jump cuts to 24 hours earlier in the show, and we get to meet the boys. We have Felix, who was doing a fucking sick guitar solo. We then have, also Felix has a brother named Oscar. That will come into, keep that in your mind, locked away in there, okay? Have Jake, who's hiding from I think this guy's named Phil. He's the rent person. Then you have Andy, who's dissing his sister's project. He said that it is
Behind Peebles filter should be before your low pass filter.
No, it shouldn't.
You have him doing that, and then you have Sam in a car, and he's dissing his brother from being a crap driver. We also get to meet Felix's girlfriend Ellen. Keep that in mind. Also, basically the whole thing is how they got into the forest is because it was a school trip of team building, team trust exercises, getting chased by a tornado, all of the things that the school wants you to do for when you're wanting team building exercises. Also, there's a creepy woman in the forest staring at them. Forgot about that as well. When they arrive, there's a creepy woman. She just stares at them entering the forest, probably looking out for tornadoes. And then they get all set into groups of 4. But the thing is, Ellen thought that Felix arranged for them to be in a group together. But
Mia, Trent, Dylan, and Ellen.
I thought we were together.
You must have changed it.
then that suddenly doesn't happen. The boys all in going on this trail, all arguing, and also Jake's positive quotes.
It says, when you're going through hell, keep going.
They try and literally rush through this whole trail to get home because they don't want to be near each other, because like, why would I hang out with these losers? As they're trying to rush through this whole thing, Felix suggests that they should do a shortcut.
To win so much, there's a shortcut. This way.
They, you know, go off the main path, go into a nice little tucked in area into the forest to try and, you know, move away from the original tasks in the forest, which I don't really know what it is. As the boys are traveling, they get more lost, so now they are nowhere. Nowhere, boys. They're now, and they're boys, and they're nowhere. Boys being nowhere, Felix tries to find out where they are. The map flies out of his hand, and they fall down a cliff.
He's slipping!
Also find these weird Blair Witch kind of protection decorations on trees and stuff as they're traveling, which is probably fine in the long term of stuff that's going to happen shortly. But as they're traveling, they get lost. Obviously, they've lost the map. They don't know where they are. So they're lost, so they're nowhere. Nowhere, boys. As they're traveling, they decide to set up camp and create a fire. But as anyone knows, everyone knows how to make a fire. Except for Jake, because he's never been camping.
Light a fire.
Any idiot would light a fire. Haven't you ever been camping?
I remember rewatching this clip and just losing my absolute mind, because he's like, every idiot knows how to make a fire. I've never been camping. Hey man, listen, I think, you know, it's getting pretty late. I'm getting pretty cold. Do you know how to make a fire? Do you know how to make a fire, perhaps? We can get something, you know, warm going on, you know, just like try and keep it alive and stuff. Oh yeah, sure man. Yeah, I can make a fire. I can try it. Like, everyone knows how to make a fire, right? Okay, that's great. Oh, that's fantastic. Everyone knows how to make a fire, so, you know, I'll try and make one. What are you doing? Okay, listen, I've never been camping. I've never been camping before. I've never been Do you think that everyone knows how to make a fire? I've never been camping. Okay, jeez, man. I'm sorry. So shut up and die of coldness. Because I don't know how to. Do you know how to make a fire? Because everyone knows how to make a fire, but I've never been camping. But I just, you know, I thought that, you know, since you said everyone knows how to make a fire, I thought. So shut up. Okay, I'm sorry. Is that a tornado? After that whole thing of arguing that that he's never been camping before, you know, to lighten up the mood, they decide to talk about, you know, everything positive and to keep the mood up and going and to not make it dark. So they talk about cannibalism and how people, you know, die in the forest.
They ran out of food and had to eat each other.
You know, those positive things you want to hear when you're trapped inside of a forest. Of course! As they're doing that and stuff, rain starts to fall and they start to get stuck in a storm. Felix decides after talking about death and cannibalism, what better way to do it is to listen to heavy metal music.
Some music to just cheer us up. Water, fire, earth, and air.
And it's a banger. It's a banger. I love it. But little do they know, it's actually a spell. Yes. Felix dabbles in some magic. Finally wake up, find Sam eating crotch cream.
It's for itchy crotch.
And they try and find their way out, and then they meet a guy named Roland. Roland is living in the forest. He's a cool guy. Love him. Favorite character. We stan Roland. Basically, they're trying to explain to Roland that there was a big tornado chasing after them. Mother Nature has come to get them.
It's like a tornado was chasing us.
And Roland's like, What are you talking about? He also states that nothing here is ever explained or easily explained.
Not everything out here is easily explained.
Hey,
Why are you saying that, sir? Why are you saying that? They ask Roland if they can take them back to Brennan. They go back to Brennan, and Felix thinks that this is a spiritual thing, and Andy thinks that it's science. Of course. The whole science and spiritual talk. Is it a ghost? No, electrons. So as they, you know, break off because they're like, ha, don't have to do this. I don't have to hang out with you because you know, we don't have to stay and we don't have to go to the forest thing because it's done. As they go to their separate homes, no one knows who they are.
You've got me confused, mate.
No one can remember them at all. Not their friends, not their family. It's like they've never been born. So basically they go into each one of their homes. Either their home is given to someone else or they've been replaced with someone else. They've never been born.
I have a son.
Those are the three options. But one of the main things is that Felix's brother Oscar can stand up.
you can stand.
Which is strange. So obviously Felix knows that something's up, and the other guys start to know that something's up as well, because people start to act strangely around them, saying that, hey, who are you? Anytime that any of them interact with their mum, no one else, just their mum, which I don't really know why. I think it's because, like, since they birthed them, that they're going back into child pain labor. That's what I kind of thought. I don't know.
Your son?
And that they touch them, it's like a burn mark, almost like a black red kind of vein burn mark. I just feel unwell, which is also strange because, you know, why is that happening? With nowhere to stay and nowhere to go, they decided to camp up in a cabin in the woods. Lovely little hut. Look at that. The next day they head to the school to see if there's any records on them and to find out if they actually do exist. And then they find out that they literally do not exist in this world at all. No records, nothing. Gone. So, what does every teenager do when they don't exist and they're not real? Vandalize school equipment and gyms. Sam, on the other hand, goes and finds his girlfriend and talks to her a bit and says, hey, do you remember me? No? Okay. Sam just does not believe this fully at all. He just keeps trying, which honestly, love the motivation, love the determination, but stop. Because no one, it's like, I'll just try again tomorrow. You don't remember me? I'll try again the next day. Hey. You're getting a restraining order because I keep telling you things that I know about you, but you don't know me? Huh. Well, I'm actually from a parallel world that you don't know. Felix and Sam, sorry, getting mixed up. Felix and Sam try and get a hold of a book in a witchcraft shop that's run by the creepy lady in the woods. Yes, that person. And they try to get a hand on the book to try and figure out if you know, if they can undo something, or, you know, I actually can't remember. We also find out the lady's name is named Phoebe. Also keep that in mind.
Thank you, Phoebe.
What? How did you know my name?
Andy also has a lot of theories that they're either stuck in a wormhole or they're either unconscious and they need to wake up, so he runs into a tree. And since that didn't wake him up, he tries to run in front of a bus, but ends up saving Ellen, which is Felix's girlfriend, but in this world, she's not. And so then Ellen has a small crush on Andy because you've just saved my life.
You just saved my life.
We do also find out that all of the dogs are missing for some reason, and Oscar does not care at all.
This is serious. My dog Vicky Leaks is missing.
Look, I'd love to help, I really would, but I'm too busy, you know, not caring.
After a whole discussion with Oscar, they get attacked by a swarm of bees, and hopefully it's not a tornado of bees, because that'd be really, really, oh fuck. Go into the witchcraft shop to say, hey Phoebe, why is there a bunch of bees attacking me? She's like, hey, elemental attack, that's what's causing the disturbance. Have you done anything that would cause, you know, an attack on the elements? After a whole discussing and bees attacking the shop, they finally get an element of protection, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work the first time. After a whole lot of discussing, they try and go and find the boys because they decided that, you know, the elements are like the stable connection to the world. And since they're from a different world, they need elements from a different world.
If what's attacking us comes from another world, then we need to use elements from another world.
Which is all of the boys. Yes, the boys are the elements that they need. They go find the boys. Felix gathers up pieces of their elements and Sam's fart gas. The spell finally works and the bees are all gone. In short, next day they try and shoplift a bunch of food, and the shopkeeper has a much riz, because have you seen him slide away when he finds someone shoplifting? Jake gets caught and goes back to the police station, gets questioned, and it's like, hey, I can't find any records on you. What's going on? He's like, well, I'm not from here. I'm not from here. Sorry, can't help you. The sergeant is Jake's dad, he's very confused by, because he's like, you are a loser.
My dad's a loser. What can I say?
And now you're a policeman. What has happened? The next day, the plan is to go to school to get the police off their backs. And the thing is, Andy gets popular, Sam gets unpopular and into fights because he's talking to his girlfriend, which is not his girlfriend, because another guy named Sam is his girlfriend, and that's really confusing, so that's what the fight is. Drake also helps in the fight, but then is fine. And then Felix, he's okay. He's just living his best life, honestly. They're going into the school, and on their school day, all of these dogs are possessed and try and attack the whole school. Andy does this cool little thing to make the dog go to lie down, which works first time. Dog runs away. It's like, oh, it's not that bad then. Everything's okay. No!
It worked before! Quick, do something!
Felix uses his magic spell thing, talks into it, and all the dogs go back to normal, and then they leave, and everyone is like, what is that? What is that? Why was your hand glowing? Felix then goes on to explain that Phoebe gave him the amulet to help them through these different elemental attacks, and the lads, they're all like, well, if she gave you something to help us, you know, survive all these attacks, she's obviously the one that has done all of this. Of course. Why would she help you? Why would she help you specifically to help us survive through all these different attacks? We could have been stung to death by bees. We could have been poked eyes out death of crows. We could have been attacked and mauled by dogs. She's behind this. She wants us dead. She wants us dead. So they split off. Sam and Felix go together and follow Phoebe throughout the day, and they find her picking up different things from their houses and from where the attacks started happening. So like where the bees started, where the crows started, where the dogs started, all of those different things. I think that she's conjuring up a different, like a little spell. And so when they're following her, Jake and Andy are in the shop trying to find out what she's been doing and trying to like sabotage whatever's going on. As they go into the shop, Jake eats some weird pickles that he finds, which aren't pickles, by the way. They aren't. They're in a red jar. I don't think there's... Are there red pickles in the world? And they find some weird kind of straw figures of themselves in a drawer that Andy tried to lockpick and then Jake opened up naturally.
Who the man?
And they heard someone come into the door. They escaped, and then Sam and Felix, you know, tried to talk to Phoebe, said, hey, you're behind all these attacks. She says, no, I'm not. I'm trying to help you guys and trying to solve what's going on. You guys are being attacked by a demon, a restoring demon to be exact, and this demon wants you dead, or wants to restore something.
You boys have a demon after you. A bona fide hell-bent on murder demon.
Oh, man.
Also, we find out that Phoebe's sister Alice has been missing, and that Alice, like, did a little spell, and now she's gone. And Phoebe wants Felix's help because Felix does spells, and he's magical, and Phoebe can't. So that's why Phoebe's been following them ever since they have arrived. They say, hey, if you help us with this thing, we'll find your sister. And she's like, okay, let's do that. Jake is dying of food poisoning from the pickles, and Andy tries to get help. Andy goes get help from one of his relatives, and then Jake's all better. He's all better. He's all good. Also, this is my favorite part ever. This is the first time we ever see a possession happen. Yes, possessions. Demons. Possessions. The thing I love most about this program is the way that they do the demon possessions. Is that it's not just oh, this demon knows what it's doing, it's so fluid, and like they're like me, like, you know, they're talking like this and stuff. It's very, very unnatural of how they move and how they talk as well, because they move very stiff, like a robot. Like, the demon's not used to being in a body, and it's really cool, and I love it. One of Andy's parents, I think, gets possessed by a demon, tries to kill Felix, and as Felix is talking to Oscar about, like, you know, oh, this is how I do the spells and stuff, they escape barely, but they also realize that now the demon can possess people, not just animals. They've upgraded, they've gone to level 5. So this is me from the future. As I'm editing this, I've realized I missed out a big chunk of the story, so I'm really, really sorry. Basically, the boys, after that whole possession thing, they decided to go back to the forest because they realized maybe that if it's like a repetition of like the week and that like of the school trip thing, maybe the events will happen again and we can do all the events again that happened and we can go home that way. So they do end up doing that, but then that plan gets foiled because Jake and Sam get trapped in a net trap. Felix drops the amulet. They all panic because they're like, where's the amulet? Because Roland appears, tries to help the boys, but then slowly gets possessed and tries to kill them and throws a log at them. Super strength. That's great to know. He gets unpossessed because they found the amulet and solved everything. And then Roland's like, hey, don't stay in this forest. And the boys are like, well, sorry, we are. Too bad. And then Roland goes off, finds Mr. Bates, who's the principal. Their plan gets foiled about staying over, and then they can't stay over. And they can't they can't redo the events. Sorry, I forgot about that bit. Anyways, back to their cabin, but then the demon slowly talks to Sam and says, hey buddy, hey, listen, if you want to get home, break the talisman, because that's what's keeping you here. That's what's keeping you here. If you how do you think that everything stops when the talisman's been used? It's keeping you here. If you think about it. When they go to school and stuff, basically I'm gonna skip through all this. Basically when they go to school and stuff, Mia gets possessed and tells Sam, hey, break the talisman.
It is keeping you here. Destroy it, and you will return to where you belong.
He doesn't question to why Mia knows about the talisman at all and why she's acting differently. He just grabs the talisman from Felix and breaks it with the hammer. You know, when... Because why would you ask someone who doesn't know you at all, and then you try to get to know them, but then all of a sudden they now know about the talisman that has helped you ever since you got here, and says, hey, you know that talisman that helped you from the start to get here? Why don't you destroy that for me, buddy? Because that'll get you home. Oh, you know how I got trapped here, and you know how I can escape? Well, that's completely normal. Let me just do that right away. Talisman gets split into 4 different pieces, and guess what? They're still here! Oh yeah, also the mums all go to hospital because they decide to appear at this Mother's Day kind of festival thing that happened, and decide to visit all their mums because you know what happens when the talisman broke. You know, let's go back to all of our mums to see if they remember us. And it made it worse because now all the mums are in hospital. Yippee. Great job, guys. Great job, Sam. You did it, buddy. You saved them. You saved them from having a long life.
Nurse!
Go into the hospital, and then they gather a bunch of things that their mums had that would be of value to like a spell. So like kind of like little key things to help each mum. They save the mums. Felix passes out from energy use of the spell. They're all better. And
Mrs. Fern, are you okay?
now they are staying at Phoebe's house because Phoebe pretends to be their auntie. So now they have like a guardian. Andy finds Felix's book of shadows, and he finds a page of all of the boys' pictures in each one, and all of them having different notes and elements in them. And then Felix goes on to explain that that he didn't mean for any of this to happen, and the reason that they're stuck here is because he wanted Oscar to walk again, and which happened. That happened. It was like an undoing spell that he did, but he didn't realize that it was going to undo all of their lives. Now all of them are just like kind of against Felix for obvious reasons. Anyways, as this is happening and all this argument's happening, Bates gets possessed. Just to let you know. Also, his possession looks like he's taking a massive shit. Like he's doing a massive fart that he can't get at. It sounds like it. Hey, sorry, it's me again. I also realized, I skipped out a bit. As possessed Mr. Bates gets possessed, he then goes to the police station and says, hey, these boys have been in trouble since the first day they showed up. Get rid of them. And Sergeant Riles and the other guy, can't remember his name, they're like, okay. So they go off and they try and find all the boys to arrest them because they've been doing a lot of bad things. I'm sorry. The boys talk about how to undo the spell, and then they sense that they need a 5th element. The fifth element is missing. Each time that they do a spell, Oscar is there with them. So they're like, oh, Oscar's the 5th element because he's a connection to our world and to this world because he's Felix's brother. So he's like a little conductor person thing. So they go and set out to try and find Oscar, to bring him over and to say, hey, we need to do this spell because you're the 5th spirit. You're the spirit that we need. In doing so, the police arrive at the shop with Mr. Bates ominously standing at the door and saying that, hey, we need to take you into the station because you've been doing a lot of things that are bad, and that we need you to go down to the station to help us understand why you're doing all these bad things. You know? All get into the car, but then there's no room for Felix, so Phoebe's like, hey, I'll take him down to the police station. Mr. Bates is like, actually, I'll do that. And then they're like, haha, no, actually. And then they find out that Mr. Bates is possessed because of him just grabbing him and being like, staring blankly. You know, it's not natural to do that when you grab someone. Get chased by Mr. Bates because obviously they found out that he's possessed by a demon. The lads find this out by, turning their heads over to the window and seeing this, and they're like, hey, can you stop the car because our friends are getting attacked? And Sergeant Riles like, haha, yeah, classic Bates, classic Bates being possessed and chasing people and killing them. Classic. what could go wrong in that situation? Felix escapes and tries to go find Oscar. He finds Oscar, also Mr. Bates, still chasing him, still hot on his tail, very determined he is. At the police station, the boys are trying to talk to Sergeant Riles and says, hey, listen, you know, why aren't the, you know, we're not from here. We need to help our friend Felix because he's going to get attacked by a possessed Mr. Bates, and you're not helping us in any way. And they're like, well, you're wrong, because that doesn't happen. That's superstitious. And they're like, well, where are they? Where are they? But as that's happening, the boys, you know, try and tell Sergeant Riles about what's happening and says, hey, we're from a different world and stuff like that. He's like, well, you've got more people on this tale. Oh, wow. Why do I believe you now? After a bit of searching, Sergeant Riles is like, hey, I'm gonna, you know, go off, figure out that by myself. Then the lads go to the shop where Phoebe is, finds Phoebe having an ice pack on her head because she got thrown against a wall. Felix and Oscar get chased by Mr. Bates in a car. That happened as well. They get to a dead end where Ellen and Mia are watching, Mia being Sam's girlfriend, sorry I didn't mention that, and they're watching all this happen over a bridge, and they're watching this happen. Then Oscar gets possessed. Surprise, surprise, demons can possess two people at the same time. Felix gets taken into a car. Ellen and Mia try and stop Mr. Bates and Oscar from taking Felix into the car. And they helped by standing there and looking confused. Driving off Felix's body to go to the forest to do like a summoning ritual thing. And to muffle out Felix's screams, you know what they do instead of putting tape around his mouth or anything? Because he's in a potato sack, they listen to heavy metal music and start rocking out to it. Which is the most metal thing I've ever seen in my life. I love it so much. Anyway, Sergeant Riles finds the car, chases after them. Good police chase and everything. Ellen and Mia go to the shop and tell the boys, hey, we found your friend. He got trapped in the car with Oscar and Mr. Bates. What's happening? And so they tell the girls, hey, this is what happened. We're from a parallel universe and this has happened and we got attacked by a tornado of bees. Jake can't make a fire because he's never been camping. We've been attacked by bees, dogs, and a gust of wind. You've been possessed, Mia. Mr. Bates has been possessed. One of Andy's relatives got possessed. Sergeant Riles finally catches up to Mr. Bates and Oscar's car and says, hey, what's happening? Can you get out of the car? Because like you've been like speeding and stuff. And they say nothing. And then Sergeant Riles, he sees Felix at the back of the car. He's like, what?
Help!
Who the man?
And their response is bag of flesh.
Bag of flesh.
Which honestly, they're not wrong. We are bags of flesh. Technically. Helps Felix out of the car. Mr. Bates, Oscar get out of the car very slowly and anonymously. Felix starts running off. Sergeant Riles gets possessed. So now they can possess 3 people at a time. That's amazing. Felix runs into the forest where they need to go. So that's fantastic. That's great. Over at the shop, they all get the ingredients to help this spell, this ritual, you know, to sabotage it. And in doing so, they're like, hey, you know, if Felix is the cause of this and if he dies, don't you guys get to go home? And Sam's like, that's a great idea! Oh my god!
If the demon kills Felix, then the magic spell dies with him? Ellen?
Does that mean we get to go home?
Never let Sam anywhere, don't let him near anything ever again. Go and try and find Felix, and in doing so, Felix finds Roland, and then Roland's saying, hey, these magical things hasn't happened the first time in this forest. And so Felix is like, well, if I get this amulet working again, I think I can redo everything in everything. And then all the little minions I'm gonna call them minions now because calling their names one by one is really exhausting. All these little minions find Felix and Roland, and then Roland's like, hey, run. If Felix is like, hey, run, Roland. I was gonna say it the other way around, but no. Try and find the boys for me. I need them. So he goes running off to try and find the boys, and Felix gets captured by the demon minions. The boys are going into the forest and finding, you know, different spirals and trees, and Phoebe saying Alice was here, and then them finding the spiral in the sky, and it's like, ah, what? Then find Felix in the forest, tied up to a tree very securely, and is part of a ritual. And basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to restore the chaos that Felix has caused, which seems to be like, you know, an okay thing because, you know, she's trying to make it better, but in a weird way of him being dead. All the boys come together and they find Felix, and they are gonna try and fight all of these demon guys, and they do a big fight scene of just, you know, attacking these demons, attacking these people with the demons, but then failing because the demons are stronger than them, obviously. Hey Andy, get me out of these chains. And so Andy's like, okay, I'll get you out, and then the tornado starts to talk. Yes, the tornado starts to talk. And we then find out that it is actually Alice, and Phoebe talks to Alice, and Alice is like, order must be restored, and Phoebe's like, what? Why are you a tornado now? And no? Kindly no? In the process of all that happening, Felix decides to chant, you know, the spell, and it's weakening the demons very, very slowly, but it's not doing a whole lot. So what happened, Felix like, hey, you need to get the original spell, so you need to get my phone and we need to play the song and sing along to it. Andy rushes over, tries to find Felix's phone while everyone's fighting their demons and stuff, you know? Not their demons, but like the demons. They sing along to Felix's song. Then a big flash happens, they wake up, and everything's back to normal. All of their parents found them, they all went home, and nothing strange happened ever again.